Hello, everyone. Welcome to Backyard Musings, broadcasting live from Apple Valley. I'm Steve,
And I'm Scott.
and we're using StreamYard today. We're not on the cell phone, so we can show this slide to you. California and Alaska have the highest number of earthquakes in the United States, and Los Angeles has a unique situation that makes earthquakes especially dangerous. You're probably wondering, why are we talking about this? I've seen earthquakes in Kansas. There's earthquakes in diverse places, many places around the United States, especially during fracking. Oklahoma was
Yeah.
getting
It's one of the
earthquakes.
downsides of
Yeah,
fracking, right?
yeah.
Right.
So we're going to talk about very unique. I think you're going to find this really interesting. According to a report by the BBC, something under Southern California shifts every 3 minutes. And we're not talking about when the ladies on the View fart. We're talking about actual seismic stuff going on.
Although that could fool a lot of people. So
I had to throw that in there. Most of these quakes are too small to feel on the surface. Recent quakes have shed light on the unique nature of the region's geology. On August 6, a magnitude 5.2 quake struck about 17 miles south of Bakersfield, affectionately called Baco. But people reported shaking nearly 90 miles away in parts of LA and San Diego. Researchers now think this is because LA sits on top of a 5 mile deep sediment filled basin, sediment like gravel and sand, that influences the way earthquakes hit the city and wider county, according to the BBC. Quote, imagine the Los Angeles basin as a giant bowl of jelly. This is what they say at BBC. The mountains and underlying rock make up the bowl, while the sediment is represented by the gelatinous mixture. And the BBC wrote, before quoting University of Southern California seismology professor John Vidal, if you shake the bottom of the bowl a little bit, the top flops back and forth. Quite a bit, he explained in the outlet.
So the mixture under LA is actually gravel, sand, and clay, according to a U.S. Geological Survey fact sheet. It's also called alluvium, as the city is located south of a large turn in the San Andreas Fault, which is a major fault line.
You can see it on the slide. Yeah.
Millions of years, activity has ground down the mountain ranges with water, gravity, and wind carrying debris, sediment, like this jelly, into the basin. Desert Hot Springs, which is not too far from here, is famous for its hot water pressed to the surface from the fault. The San Andreas Fault, long feared for its potential to cause the biggest natural disaster ever in Southern California, is capable of producing, I don't know where they come up with this number, but 8.1 magnitude
probably
earthquake.
Simulations, probably.
Yeah, they talk about, this is the famous fault line that they say could, cut California in half, basically, if it happens. So anyway, it could kill thousands of people and cause hundreds of billions of dollars in damage.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
So my buddies, our old Army buddies watching this, you'll remember when we were stationed at DLI in Monterey, Defense Language Institute, we'd sometimes go over to Fort Ord, which is closed down now.
Yeah.
And golf on the two golf courses, and San Andreas Fault ran right through Fort Ord.
Yeah,
I remember a little sign that said San Andreas Fault.
Yeah, I mean, people don't realize it, but a major freeway right here in our backyard, the Interstate 15, that travels, from the Los Angeles area, actually,
all the way up to the
way up to border Mexico
and Canada.
Yeah, Canada. You travel right across that fault line every day. If you travel the 15 to work every day. So between like Oak Hills and Devore, it floats right through there. So anyway, the southern segment of the fault, extending for hundreds of miles from the Salton Sea in the south, passes as close as 35 miles from Los Angeles.
We talked about the Salton Sea. Remember lithium?
Yeah.
Those deposits at the bottom?
Yeah. And it's called through the Big Bend section in Kern County and on to Parkfield in Monterey County.
So Kern County is next to us.
To the north.
To the north,
yep.
Yeah. And Monterey, My buddies know where Monterey County is.
Yeah,
My
so-
Army buddies.
Yeah, Kern County's like Bakersfield. That's probably the major city in Kern County, I think, right? It's in the big. It is in the Big Bend section of the fault that is believed to have become locked.
No moving.
Yeah, preventing the fault from slipping to release the ever-increasing pressures caused by the grinding of the Pacific and North American tectonic plates. The fault, or the locked fault, is rapidly increasing the risk of the long overdue big one, as everybody calls it, earthquake, that scientists say is inevitable. So,
No.
and I mean, it's possible, right? I mean, that's something that I guess they just recently, they just had, within the last few months, these earthquakes that we've had, they've had some warnings. Like, it's just for a few seconds, but they're giving people like a heads up instead of just,
Yeah, USGS.
Yeah, because it's kind of weird. I remember watching the news back in the day when we had cable, and we'd be watching the local stations in LA, and they'd be in their studios, and there'd be an earthquake, and they'd say, "Oh, we're having an earthquake," and then you'd wait a few seconds, and then we'd start shaking up here.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, but
yeah. So this is where the science gets really interesting here. Seismic waves move faster in hard rock than in soft material, but still have to carry the same energy, Vidal told the BBC. When a quake goes from hard to soft sediment, the height or amplitude grows substantially, and this is the dangerous part, he noted to the outlet. Basically, people in LA are living in the one place where earthquakes will probably hit harder than in surrounding regions that are not within the basin. But that happens in Japan too. LA is not the only one. Japan is like that too. The geology of the region can literally trap seismic wave energy, the Southern California Earthquake Center found in 2014. This means shaking goes on for longer than the actual fault fracture, according to a study. All this adds up to another major threat facing Southern California. Unlike terrible policies leading to social decline, this threat cannot be mitigated by the voters. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. You just got to sit and wait, right?
Yep.
We spoke to our buddy Tony from church yesterday, who's a geologist. Japan has a similar situation as Los Angeles. After a huge earthquake, every fourth or fifth skyscraper was demolished, while others around it were not severely damaged, which is fascinating, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like a tornado going through a city, right?
Yeah.
Bounces and shifts all over the place.
Uh-huh.
Scientists think that those collapsed buildings vibrated at the same frequency as the earthquake that caused harmonic resonance.
Harmonic resonance.
Yeah,
Man.
interesting.
Yeah.
So harmonic resonance is where the natural frequency of the building coincides with the oscillating frequency of the external force, obviously the earthquake.
Yeah.
It's desirable in music, but disastrous with earthquakes. So
yeah. So crazy science today, and you might have earthquakes wherever you are in Des Moines, Iowa, or Tennessee or Texas. You know.
And then maybe because of your geological base, you're not feeling it like we feel it here, right?
But if you got mountains around you, then that could act like that could amplify those seismic waves.
Yeah. So living in Southern California my whole life, obviously, the quake that happened in San Fernando in '71, I think it was out in the Santa Clarita area. I had family there living in Saugus. They were affected big time. Their house. Family living in Northridge. During '94, that was a huge
the World
one.
Series, yeah.
Yeah, that was the one up in Oakland.
Yeah,
that was the one in Oakland. That happened. That was where those bridge collapsed. Oh, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was actually right during the World Series.
Yeah.
And Big Bear earthquake, I think in '92. I may have those dates reversed, '92, '94, but yeah, devastating stuff. And then we felt the shake, and it's kind of interesting because some of them roll, some of them shake. It's wild.
Yeah, I remember when I was in Northern California, Pleasanton felt a quake. It felt like a giant stomping the ground. Everything went like this.
Yeah, just a jolt.
And you're like, whoa, that was a quake.
Yeah, and I remember we were standing out in front of our house in Victorville when the Big Bear earthquake happened, and that was a pretty good sized earthquake up there. A lot of damage, and our sidewalk that we were standing on just kind of rolled.
Oh wow,
it was very bizarre.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah. So
Any cracking on the sidewalk?
no cracking,
Wow,
no.
wow.
But I mean, I knew people up in Big Bear that lost chimneys, water lines severed. I mean, roads were closed. It was pretty bad.
All right, folks, we appreciate you joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll have more
Yeah.
interesting stuff for you tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good day. Thank you.